Good morning. Back in the 80s, there was a comedian named Jeff Foxworthy who merged onto the scene with his sort of signature line, "You just might be a redneck if." You likely heard of him. He went on to have more fame. I think he was on some TV shows. And this line, "You just might be a redneck," turned into calendars and coffee mugs. I mean, it was printed on T-shirts. There's all these things. You just might be a redneck if you walked your kid to school because you're in the same grade, or you spent more money on fireworks than on your education, or you mowed your yard and discovered a car. So anyway, I probably am in all kinds of trouble for saying the word redneck today. I don't know whether that has been canceled or you're still allowed to make fun of rednecks, whatever. So let me just move on and say, I mention that because it sets up this "you just might be religious if." And I want to go down on that a little bit. You just might be religious if you think God loves you because you're watching this morning devotion, or you think God loves you because you show up at church, or you think God loves you because you are religious. You think you're better than other people because you're in a small group, or whatever that may be. Now, there are problems with my "you just might be religious" approach. For one thing, it's not very funny. So Jeff Foxworthy wins there for sure. But it's also problematic because there are upsides to keeping the law. Right now, the law doesn't mean there's the universe is not this giant slot machine. God is not a slot machine. You can't do X and guarantee Y. But complying with the law and doing the things that are right, some of which get labeled religion, can work. Can make for our life better. But I think the big reason why this whole idea of "you just might be religious if" doesn't work is because it's very confusing. You might be finding yourself saying, "Wait, am I supposed to go to church? Or am I supposed to be religious? How is he defining religion?" Now that is the big question. How do we define religion? It is a big question, and there's not a lot of agreement. I attended a lecture years ago, famous professor at University of Chicago, Dr. Martin Marty, who had edited this massive, multi-volume commentary on religion. And he fielded that question from somebody that was attending the lecture. How does he define religion? And he talked about all these different definitions of religion. And then he basically said, my definition of religion is whatever I write about in this multi-volume commentary on religion. In his book, Life is Too Short to Pretend You're Not Religious, David Dark says religion is the best word we have for seeing, naming, confessing, and really waking up to what we're ultimately after in all we do. Another definition I saw is religion is man's response to God or human beings' relation to that which they consider to be holy, sacred, spiritual, or divine. Jamie K.A. Smith describes religion as what happens when we get pulled in, moved, called out, or compelled by something outside ourselves. Skye Jitani, in his book, What's Wrong with Religion, writes and says, we are not supposed to talk about religion, so let's talk about sports, which is the other thing you give your weekends to when you're a kid, but generally outgrow, only showing up at big games after that. So making, reference to only show up at church for Christmas and Easter, right? He notes that Jesus refused to do religion. In fact, he drove religious people crazy. And he suggests that the core of religion is our effort to try and control an uncontrollable world by bribing God with sacrifices and genuflecting. I could go on. Let me note, when it comes to the Bible, the New Testament uses the word religion 5 times. And it's neutral. I mean, if you look in aggregate, it's neutral. It refers to Judaism in Acts 26. It refers to sort of the Judeo-Christian worldview in Acts, later in Acts. It refers to that which controls the tongue in the book of James. It has a very positive connotation. It says this is religion as it's supposed to be when you care for widows and orphans. So the term is sort of, it's a little bit neutral. So where am I going with all this? Well, the term is for the most part neutral in the Bible. It has a negative feel for us today. You don't really want to hear that people think of you as being overly religious. And it also has a negative connotation in the book of Galatians, which is where we're going to be for a while. Galatians is for the purpose of Galatians, I am going to say religion is understood to be following rules and rituals to be good, better than others, and to qualify for God's love. That is what we do. We are sort of by default religious people. We are meaning-seeking beings, and we are trying to get favor. And in his letter to the Galatians, the Apostle Paul comes out swinging at that. So it's a very important book, and I look forward to the next days and weeks as we unpack it. Have a good day.